Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of C2C. And in this episode, I'm going to take you through the 3 questions that I ask all of our clients coming in that allows me to know exactly in that moment what is wrong with their business. And this episode comes from a conversation I had last night with my wife where we were driving down the road and I was like, every single time I'm speaking to a new practitioner or a business owner, I ask them the same 3 questions and I know right then and there within the first 10 minutes exactly where their bottleneck is going to be inside of their business. And she's like, seriously? Yeah, seriously. It's crazy. And we went through a couple of examples. She's like, holy shit, you're right. You know exactly where these bottlenecks are. And that's why I thought to myself, I have to share where these bottlenecks can appear. And I also have to share the 3 questions on, of course, where I start to get this information from. Because it doesn't matter what type of practice you run. Actually, well, it does. That's one of the 3 questions. But just knowing these 3 questions and knowing the answers to these 3 questions are going to be the thing that allows you to be proactive about some of these potential bottlenecks that are capping your growth. So let's go into the 3 things that I need to know. The first one is I need to know what kind of practice you run. The second one is I need to know where your leads are coming from. And the third one is I need to know how you package your offer. And if you answer all 3 of these honestly, I'm going to tell you exactly where your business is going to stall. So let's get into the first one. The first one is going to be your practice type. I cannot stress this enough. Your type of practice dictates how people buy, not just what you do. And here's what I mean by that. When you're taking a look at the different industries, oftentimes when we're working with coaches and mentors, we're all promoting and marketing and creating content the same way, assuming that our audience operates the same way across the health field. They don't. Some people operate with scarcity and urgency. Other people operate for community. There are certain parts of the industry that operate out of immediate need versus a long-term want. And that changes the way that you're going to be getting clients day to day. A lot of this is influenced by your category of practice, and there's a couple of them. So, great example is being a chiropractor. Most chiropractors are referral driven, where often someone comes in because it's a pain trigger. They have an immediate issue. They threw out their back, they threw out their neck. Then all of a sudden, this person heals them or gets them fixed up, and they become their go-to person, and they start telling all of their friends and family about this chiropractor. So now you've got immediate pain trigger. That's when people come in normally. You've got referral driven, which means that the people going largely through a chiropractor's office are reactive buyers. Most people are not trying to proactively save their back. Usually what happens is once they have 1 or 2 issues, then a good chiropractor starts talking about communicative care and then how you need to strengthen, do muscle strengthening and conditioning and start to work on your actual back health. And that's when this person becomes a long-term person. But everyone coming into their practice at the beginning is reactive. They're reacting to an immediate need. So when we're taking a look at this practice, how do you think this thing is going to operate? How do you think your marketing is going to look like with a reactive need versus someone that's going to be more long-term? Now, let's give another example. How about physiotherapists? Usually for physiotherapists, it's about rehabilitation. It's about something that's maybe a chronic issue that's existed for a long time. And largely, physiotherapists is about something that's being insurance driven. You're promoting people's usage of their benefits. You're telling them before or after the year that their benefits are coming up or that their benefits have just started. And usually, physiotherapists connected with something that's called a clinical trust buyer. This is where the person knows if they go into clinic, they know exactly the physiotherapy experience that they're going to get, and they commit to a certain level of treatment plans. That treatment plan means that either this person is going to have a lot of different physiotherapists on staff to treat all these people, or they might have 1 or 2 students in which the physiotherapist is going in through a bunch of different patients, but largely you're working with the assistant practitioner or the person who's 1 step down. The way that they operate with their clients is going to be totally different because the way that they're getting their clients is totally different. These are car accident people. This is long-term issue people. This might be athletes if you're sports specific. But again, the way that they're getting clients is really different. How about the example of personal trainer? Usually when someone hires a personal trainer, they've tried other things on their own. They've tried nutrition and failed. They've tried exercise and maybe they have a hard time with accountability. So normally you don't hire a personal trainer until you become a person who is self-led, highly motivated, and now you want to take that next step. That is something that's identity driven. They become a self-led person. They become a coachable person who recognizes in that moment, I can't do this by myself. The people who recognize I can't do this by myself, they are what I call a results-driven buyer. Anyone who is working with a private coach or a personal trainer or intimately one-on-one with someone recognizes the value of operating in a one-on-one space, and they're prepared to pay premium for it because they haven't gotten the results they're looking for on their own. They want to get to that next level. They want to stop being at the plateau, and they know that all of the generic stuff that they've been getting up until this point is only going to take them so far. This is where now they've got to go a step deeper, and they say, I need personalized support. When a person is approaching for personalized support, they're not saying to themselves, well, I'm going to see if I can put this through my benefits, or, I'm going to wait a little bit longer, see if this thing goes on sale. The reality is there's probably not going to be a sale, and their benefits probably aren't going to cover this. They're prepared to move and operate this out of pocket because they know exactly what the circumstance and the situation is. They have been stuck at this halfway point long enough where it's like, look, I have to finally do something about it. Now, how about the example of a yoga studio? Yoga studio, when people are going to work with someone at a yoga facility or they're doing yoga period, usually it's about communication and it is a lifestyle buyer. The person doesn't really have this hard focus about gaining a ton of strength, and sure, balance is important, but really they want to zen out. They want to be able to have kind of this natural flow. They want to be able to be in a community that's really fun and that they can connect with all of the people there. So when these people are going to look at a facility or a studio to join, they want family vibes. They want the same yogi who's going to be there day in, day out, because they're going to build an intimate relationship with that yogi. Hell, if you build the relationship right enough, they might actually even join the yogi team and become an instructor too, to further be a part of that community. They're not looking for immediate sales. They're not looking for these one-off things where it's going to be like, hey, get in for like 3 or 5 sessions. They're really looking to build a long-term relationship. Final example I'll give you guys is the example of naturopath. Most people, when they run naturopathic clinics, they do a lot of short-term promotions, which is crazy. I don't understand that. Because when people go to naturopathy, it's usually one of the last resorts that people go to. Similar to being a personal trainer or a private coach. When they are working with a naturopath, it's because they've tried other things and it's failed. They don't want the short-term transformation anymore. Now they're looking for something long-term and something sustainable because they're looking to address the root cause. So when it comes to addressing the root cause, this means that this person is going to be a long-term transformation buyer. A long-term transformation buyer doesn't want a 30-day challenge. They don't want a 6-week transformation program. They don't want 50 or 60 caseloads of supplements that's going to stop in a 3 or 4 month period. They want to work with someone for 6 months or a better part of a year, actually addressing what is going on so it can finally be removed as an issue in their life. Do you see how just being a different level of practice or having a different practice type significantly changes the way that you're actually going to market, talk about your offers, promote, run Facebook ads? And a lot of people don't realize this. And that's why I can't stress enough, most practitioners try to copy marketing from another industry. You're taking what's working for gyms, like these 30-day challenges or 6-week challenges, and you think it's going to work for your clinic. It's not. So this is where everything goes wrong, where it's like a physio tries to sell like an online fitness influencer, or a trainer tries to sell like a medical clinic and tries to get people for a year up front, and they can't do it. Or a naturopath tries to sell like a yoga studio, and instead of committing to a 4-month or a 6-month care plan, they're like, well, why don't we start with the first 2 sessions and see? That mismatch creates friction. And I can tell you, The industry is what tells you how long trust takes. It tells you how emotional the buying decision is, and it also tells you whether they expect subscriptions or what I would call like episodic care, which is like, are you going to be getting them in 3 to 4 month stints at a time? So if your model is fighting what the industry has already naturally designed, it's not going to work, because all of the people have a certain expectation going in, and you're going against the grain to that. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that you have to be marketing different or market something that's totally in line with what everyone else is. It actually has nothing to do with the offer at this point. What it is looking at the preconditioning of people. A great example of this is stores. When you go to a store and you see something like a BOGO, a buy one, get one free, everyone knows what a buy one, get one free in the store is. When you go to Rolex, there's no buy one, get one free. They're both stores, but Rolex can't do that because that's going to diminish Rolex's brand. Walmart can do that because, again, it's got a million different items and they're $4 instead of $10,000. And this is where the promotion, the marketing, and the messaging can't be the same for a different type of practitioner. This is why whenever we're working with practices inside of Coach to Coach, we're looking at their specific industry. If you're a yoga facility, what are the challenges that the yoga facilities are having in your area? Where is your bottleneck? Forget about how everybody else is marketing. It's what is going to be able to work for you. Same thing with the training facility that we're working with, where they've got 35,000 square feet, which is way different than a 1,200 or 1,600 square foot yoga facility. Totally different. The way you market it is different. The way you talk about it is different. The ad dollars you decide to put towards it is completely different. And even the way you create content around it is different. Great example of this, like a big box gym. How many big box gyms do you see create content around community? Probably very little, because truthfully, when I go to my training facility, I'm not really looking for community. I'm looking for a great facility that's got good amenities that I can go in and out and I can do my workout no problem. That's not the case with a yoga studio. If I'm going to be inside of a class that has 30 people and I'm going to see those 30 people every single week for the next 6 months, I want to develop a relationship with these people. So if I start seeing content on community, it's going to create this whole level of connection that's different. So now let's go into question 2, which is, where are your leads coming from? This is one that exposes everything because there's a limit to where leads come in. Is it referrals? Are you getting people from word of mouth? Is it Instagram? Is it paid ads? Is it walk-in? Are you getting your leads from insurance directories? When you look at the majority of where your clients are coming in, it tells you a lot about where the bottleneck of your business is going to be and how your business is operating. So let me run through some examples here. Let's say you look through your business and your business is 80% referral. If your business is 80% referral, that means you don't have systems set in place. You're really good at delivering client results, which is incredible, and referrals are amazing. That's awesome. But you don't have any systems, and referrals are very unpredictable. They fluctuate with seasons. They dry up when attention shifts. That's not scale. You can't scale being referral only because there's going to be a limit to the amount that people can refer you. Once it's, their partner, maybe one of their kids, maybe one of their parents or a best friend, the referral source is going to dry up. So I know where the bottleneck is going to be. I know that people are going to give you a limited amount of referrals, and I know that each referral you get from that person might be 90 days to 6 months in length. That to me means that we either need to start focusing on more organic content for you to get leads naturally, or we have to start getting the paid ad route to start forcing leads to visibly see you so they can start buying your business or buying into the idea of your business. If you're focusing on just referral, and that's the answer to that question, then I know you don't have the ability to generate leads organically or via ads. Now, let's say you say, hey, look, the majority of my leads are coming from social media, but it's inconsistent. Now I know what your bottleneck is going to be. Your bottleneck is your messaging. You don't have positioning clarity. You're posting content, but your content is random. There's no strategy behind it. There's no connective themes that connect to your programs. So what ends up happening is you don't drive people who are qualified. The right people aren't inquiring about your services because you either haven't shown them how or you haven't built up to certain levels of trust that you need to do inside of content. Inside of content, and there's a big piece of the program that we have inside of C2C called client converting content. There's something called a value draw inside of content. Are you giving upfront value to people where they're getting usable information that they can apply right away? Outside of the value draw, there's the hero's journey. Is there a story that they can connect to inside of that piece of content that makes them go, holy shit, this is me? So a great example, I was on a consult call a couple weeks ago with a practitioner who was like, hey, I'm stuck in practitioner purgatory. And I was like, man, that's wild that you say that because everybody says that. And he was like, the reason why I wanted to hop on a consult call with you is because when I was taking a look at your content and you said, do you feel like your hires, every single time you hire someone, it's like you have to take back the work and the responsibility. I really resonated with that because that's happened to me several times. This is where your hero's journey in the story connects with what's actually there. But again, if your social media doesn't have any flow, then guess what? Your leads are going to be very random. You don't know what post is giving you leads. You don't know what kind of content resonates with your audience. And so it's going to be really hard for you to scale your business. Now, let's use the example of ads. Let's say you tell me, hey, Andrew, the question or my answer to that is it's ads. That's where my leads come from. But when I'm looking at my ads, it's tough because my ad spend is a lot or I don't really have great conversion. This is where I go, okay, if your leads are coming from ads, I know your back end is weak. I know that your onboarding isn't dialed. I know that your offer isn't sharp. And the reason why I say those things is because if you're getting leads up front, but you're not signing them up or selling them, you either don't know how to pre-qual, you don't know how to sell, you don't have the right offer curated in front of them, or your onboarding isn't dialed in to make them stick to the process. Because the ad is the ad. You got the lead, but now you can't convert them. And what I find in this is most people don't have an issue getting the ads. They have an issue with lead follow-up. I can't tell you how many conversations I have with all of my business owners every week. And for those of you who are working with me inside of C2C, this is a direct call out to you guys. You're getting leads and they're dirt cheap. They're like 10, 11 bucks a lead. And you're getting the leads, but then your team is too slow in following up with them. So all of a sudden we have to turn off your ads or we have to reduce your ads because you can't keep up. That's a back-end issue. It's a conversion issue. And yes, we're working with those people inside of C2C as well to make sure that that back-end issue doesn't exist anymore. Whether that's team training that we have to do, whether we have to create a pre-qual script to make it super simple, or whether we have to then put out application forms inside the ads to do the pre-qual for you. All of this is going to increase the conversion, which is going to change how many people sign up through the process. So all of those examples of where the leads coming in, where your leads come from, tells me whether you have predictable acquisition, you have qualification built in, you have a conversion process to actually sign them on, or you're just kind of randomly doing those things. And I'll tell you, most practitioners, they think that they have a marketing problem when it comes to leads. They don't. Most of them know how to market because they're getting leads in some form, whether it's via referral, via ads, via your social media. It's not a marketing aspect of how do I market the offer, how do I talk about my service. Usually they have a system gap. And the system gap is between either lead to qualify, qualify to offer, or offer to keeping them on. And here's a great way to know this. If you can't tell me your lead conversion rate, your average lifetime value, and how long you can keep a client for, that tells me right then and there it's your system gap. If you don't know those numbers, you're not running a business, you're running a practice, and that's different. If you want to run a practice where you can just fill up your one-on-one time, that's very simple, but then you'll never know those numbers. And now we're on to the final question. It's question number 3, how you package your offer. When I ask a lot of business professionals this, they go, well, what do you mean? Like, are you talking about our price? Are you talking about the whole offer entirely? Like, what do you mean by how you package your offer? Okay, I will explain to you what pricing and packaging dictates. When you package an offer a specific way, you're showing people perceived value. So the first part is, how much value am I actually getting in this? And what is the value inside of the transformation? You're giving them perceived value up front. Your packaging also dictates their retention. Depending on how you package the offer, like the length of time they're working with you, how many sessions they get with you, what the next process is. This a foundational program? Is this an additional add-on? Whatever way you package it, it's going to affect your retention of that client. As an example, if I'm starting someone with a 4-month phase 1 protocol, and during the 4 months we're working on getting and addressing their initial issue, and then we're making sure that they have the foundations, they can expect a phase 2 where we start to work on more advanced things. So the level of retention increases. Now, another aspect of packaging is cash flow. Your packaging is going to dictate how much you cash flow with this. If you're doing stuff just on a session-by-session basis and everything is on an add-on, chances are many of those things aren't priced right. They're not priced properly for your time. They don't have whether or not you have to write in client notes. They don't have in how many conversations you have to have with your team in between the client sessions. And so packaging is going to dictate your ability to scale. If you are not packaged right for your offer, it's going to be really hard for you to serve tons of clients with it. A great example, my most successful program when I was doing hormone coaching was our Hormone Reboot program. That program alone, we were serving an average of 300 to 400 people a month with that program. That program was very scalable. It was packaged very well. It was priced very well. It was a great introductory 8 weeks to be able to address a very specific issue of just hormone instability around estrogen and bloating. And when we were able to clear that out, our conversion rate on the other end of that was 65%. Which is really great. It's a fantastic conversion to know you can have 10 people in the program and 6 people will continue. And the perceived value for the client was very high. Because at less than $1,000, it was $997 or basically $799 paid in full. At less than $1,000, they could be bloat-free, estrogen balanced, and they could stop having gut issues. The value there, especially for someone who had bloating issues for like many years, that's dirt cheap. It's dirt cheap because they spent hundreds of other dollars doing everything else. So how you package your offer really dictates whether someone's going to stay, how much money you're going to make, whether you can scale, and what the value that client is going to get. So this is where you have to ask yourself, is your offer right now a pay-per session? Is it a 10-pack where you're trying to sell things up front? Is it monthly? Is it transformational based? Is it episode care? You're selling them for 3 months, you don't see them for 6 months, and then you sell them on another 3 months. Is it open-ended, where they're just paying you on a per session basis and there's no contracts or no agreements, or it's basically, hey, you need an adjustment today, we do it, and then come back when you need the next adjustment. Now, when you look at all of those things, you're going to see what the challenge is. Great example. If you sell sessions, you're going to cap your revenue because there's a limited amount of sessions that you can do one-on-one with people. If you sell time, you're trading hours, and there's going to be a cap on that. Your schedule is only going to be able to take on so many people before you're stuck again. The only way for you to scale, especially with a properly packaged offer, is if you sell outcomes. You have to sell outcomes. in which people aren't there for the length of time. They're there for the process and the results. Packaging affects psychology way more than you could ever understand. Just like if I say buy one, get one 50% off, is like, oh, okay, I'll consider the second one. That affects your psychology. It's the same thing when you're doing your programs. If I sell 10 sessions, I'm telling someone that their life can change in 10 hours. Versus if I sell a 4-month program, even if they still only do 10 sessions energetically is a lot different than 4 months of a commitment. And the level of seriousness of that person is going to change. The person who commits 4 months is more likely to commit 6 months after that, versus the person who commits 10 sessions is maybe going to buy another 10 sessions afterwards. The length of time becomes very different. So, 10-session pack, they're thinking to themselves, I'm going to see how this goes. Transformation program, they're like, well, this is something I got to commit. Pay-per-visit, that's very transactional. Structured program, that's intentional. And when you're looking especially at retention issues, where retention is a big part in your business that you're trying to increase, retention and your ability to keep your clients coming almost always traces back to the way you've packaged your offer. Not how much effort you're putting with your clients to deliver the results, not your personality as the practitioner or the person coaching them. Doesn't even have to do with your team and how they're selling. It always has to do with how you package the first offer and also your onboarding. Usually, the program or the container you have them in isn't strong enough. And if the container isn't strong enough, then that's when you're going to start looking for more people. This is where, if retention starts falling off in your business, you feel like you constantly need new leads, which creates pressure, which creates burnout, which keeps you stuck in this whole area of like, I can't grow my business. I'm at the bottleneck again. So those are the 3 questions that you should be asking yourself, because if not, I'm going to ask them to you on our next call, whether it's discovery call with C2C or even when you're working with us. So where your leads come from, how you package your offer, and whatever type of practice you have can show you exactly where your bottleneck is. Bottom line, your practice is always about your buying psychology, how they buy. Your lead source is all about whether or not you have systems and how well your systems work. And your packaging is all coming down to the strength of your business model. How many people can I take on before this breaks? Who they serve, how those people buy, how the business delivers value. That's what makes the most sense. And if you're watching this and you feel booked, but you're still capped, busy, but you're still unstable in your business, growing, but you're not scaling the way that you want to, this is the perfect opportunity for you to join the C2C program. C2C is taking 2 more people for the month of March. I've opened up more consult times, which is incredible. Having great conversations. Would love to work with you in your business and be a part of the C2C program. If you have any questions on the C2C program, all you have to do is just DM me on Instagram at Coach Andrew Costa, or you can just fill out an inquiry link on our website, growmycoaching.com. I will happily answer all of your questions personally. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on the discovery call. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys, and we will catch you later. Take care.